Welcome back to the Data Leap Show. Welcome back to the Andrew Mo Show. Welcome back to you guys. Today I'm going to talk about exactly what it means to waste your 20s and what it means to make bad mistakes that can really carry forward into your 30s and kind of really ruin your plans to retire at 30, which all of us have. We want to be on that boat like that cat from that meme. We all know which meme I'm talking about. So, this video is going to be broken up into 3 parts: your early 20s, your mid 20s, and your late 20s. And you don't even have to be 20 years old to follow this advice. It really ends up being, what age do you want to retire? Subtract about 20 to 30 years, and then consider yourself 20 years old. In your early 20s, the biggest mistake that you can have is not mastering your craft. Having the ability to go to college, go to trade school, or go to get your graduate degree can end up changing your entire life. Not everyone is privileged enough to be in that field, but if you wanted to do something that is easily learned online through some sort of software like graphic design, web development, and something similar along that vein, you can also go online to do a boot camp or find free resources that exist on YouTube and Google. This is one of the biggest mistakes that people have, is that they find a way to plateau. They find something that makes sense for their industry, they get a job, they're happy, they're comfortable, and then that job will never pay that 30 to 40% increase in raise that you're looking for in the next 2 to 3 years. You're probably questioning why? Why is it that I'm not making more money? Why is it that I'm staying stagnant making 5 to 10% raises? If you're curious about raises, check out that new video I just put out this week. But it becomes very formulaic. The amount of skill that you need to succeed at each level of life becomes greater and greater. You need to be able to flex your experience to get more experience. Kind of the catch-22 of getting a job nowadays. But being a master at your craft allows you to break free of that cycle of nonstop not having enough experience to get more experience, etc., etc. How do you know whether or not you've mastered your craft? Well, one of the best ways is to teach. If you can help someone understand your craft at the entry level, then you are starting to become someone who is an expert, a master at building out these pieces of highly technical, perhaps highly skilled work that not only are you now a mentor for others, but also you are now a cornerstone of the greater ethos, the greater metaverse of the entire industry. Let me pepper in something in your early 20s that you should definitely start considering doing, is taking all of your money and moving it out of a savings account and into either an index fund or some other high growth investment. People end up trying to save up for a house and then they hold on to that money, and that money doesn't accrue, it doesn't grow. What is the worst thing that can happen when you put your money in the stock market? There could be a dip. Let's take the financial crisis that happened earlier this year. When you actually put those two on the graph of the greater trend of the stock market, you can tell that those are just small blips, basically insignificant in the grander scheme of things. The difference between standing still in your career is the same as your money standing still in a bank account. So that's why these two things need to start going hand in hand in your early 20s. Let's go a few years ahead into your mid 20s. I'm in my mid 20s, and now I'm starting to realize that there is incredibly important goals to set at this age. At this age, it's really easy to start falling into things that money can buy. You can start falling into traveling all over the world. You can start falling into alcohol, food, taxi cabs, eating out, Hamilton shows. These are small expenses, or perhaps great expenses, that can add up. See Joma's video for more about how you can really blow your money at this age. The most important thing you can do is try and get the highest income out of your craft as possible, and then live below your means, making sure that you are taking as much of your money as possible into that investment account we talked about earlier. Compounding of interest really adds up, and so if you started off with some low 5-figure amount in the beginning of your 20s, maybe just $10,000, that can actually end up becoming a 6-figure sum if you've invested it and continue to invest into that fund into your mid-20s. Now you have $100,000. That's enough to put a 20% down payment on most houses, although some folks on the internet, like Ryan Pineda, says 20% down is not a good idea. If you want for me to respond to that assertion, let me know, and then I'll try to throw my hat in the real estate ring as well. In your mid-20s, make sure to continue nourishing the relationships you had in school as well as in your early 20s. College friends, high school friends, gosh, even middle school friends can end up becoming lifelong friends at this point in time. The reason why is because there is a psychology about how many friends you can keep in your valence electrons of relationships. Humans can only really open up to the single digits of friends. So if you have less than 10 friends or fewer than 10 friends, you should feel perfectly healthy. But if you don't have anyone you can properly confide in, if you don't have anyone you can consider a best friend, then you are going to have more trouble down the line of in your 30s, settling down with a family and not really having anybody you can consider a friend down the line. This is more about mental health, but also it could be an easy way that you waste your 20s on video games and virtual friends rather than actually supporting the relationships that you currently have with real life people. One of the ways is that you can set up weekly meetings with them. Some way to connect, maybe a game, maybe board games or Jackbox or something similar that you can actually allow the impetus of game playing to drive you forward. That's why I particularly like Dungeons and Dragons, but we can talk about my geeky adventures some other day. In your mid-20s, you also have to make sure that you have now at least hopped to a different job, and this is paramount. If you have stayed in the same job from your early 20s to your late 20s, then you are being taken advantage of because you are now a completely different candidate in your mid-20s. Someone with 3 to 5 years of experience is paid on an astronomically different scale than someone who had 0 years of experience, or at least less than 1 year of experience. Take it from a hiring manager. If you do not leave your first company within the first 3 years, you are making somewhere between 20 to 40% less than you should be. The reasons I can list astronomically long, but the main reason is that now you have been trained and you have experience in real world silos and pipelines. This is experience that you had to get trained for, and nobody wants the burden of training new hires. You've essentially put all of your inexperienced self into a company that now had to invest in you, and now you can say sayonara, thank you for the free education. Kind of a negative way to think about it, but it's true. Now you are worth more in your mid-20s. You can say, Andrew, what if I didn't actually get 3 to 5 years of experience in my mid-20s? What if I had time to explore and find myself? That's okay. At this point in time, you have to start thinking about what is the next step. In your mid-20s, you have to think about how to plan the day by day. Break down your day into 2-segment days. That's something that Charlie Chang has taught me. He spoke about taking your day and starting it early enough, early as the sun rises for me, because I really have to get my circadian rhythm intact. But if you take your day from around 7 a.m. when the sun rises to around 1 to 2 p.m., then that is a 5-hour chunk. That's really as much attention span as you have for the day anyway. And consider that day 1. And then take the second day somewhere between 1 to 2 p.m. after lunch, of course, into a 8 a.m. or 9 p.m. That is day 2. Imagine when you don't do anything all day. You're probably going to feel pretty darn stinky. But if you don't do anything for 2 whole days back to back, then you're going to feel double the guilt and double the remorse. This also helps you compartmentalize what you want to complete each day, right? If you are sitting pretty at a job, or perhaps you're trying to get something done, like accomplish a graduate degree or pivot in your career, if you can break down your day into 2 separate blocks, you're going to have a lot easier time thinking about what to do in a half-day by half-day cycle. At this point in time, match your 401k employer match. There's a lot of benefits with 401ks. There's a lot of benefits with Roth IRAs. If you have the surplus income, don't be a fool. Don't be a silly nilly-willy. Put money in there so that you can have the tax benefits later on. You don't need the money right now. It's not gonna buy you that many extra bobas or Tesla batteries, whatever you 20-year-olds spend it on. Now we've come to the late, great, gray stage of your life. You are in your late 20s. You have a cane, you have a rocker, you have a sizable chunk taken out of your student loans, and now you have to focus on 2 things only. Easy for you because your memory is probably going to. 1, make sure to focus on the avalanche approach to taking care of your student loans. If you still have any outstanding loans, make sure to try to pay those off before you put more money into investments. This should light a fire underneath you. You should be able to enter your early 30s without any debt. You should also try and get a perfect 800 credit score. Credit scores are silly because as soon as you use them, they start to go down. So it's kind of cyclical, but you need to be able to leverage your credit in order to afford the pleasantries of 30-year-old living. If you want a whole guide about how to improve your credit score, I'm happy to create one for you guys. At the end of your 20s, you should focus on making waves for your career, making sure that you have sparkling reviews not only on LinkedIn, but also references that you can connect to any kind of pivot that you want to. References will help you for many reasons. Academic, professional, and even the lifelong friends that you remember to keep during your mid-20s, those people might end up referring you to your next graduate degree. They might end up referring you to your next mentee or coaching opportunity, or they might be the angel investors, the friends and family round that gets you started with your small business. Everyone starts somewhere, and if you aren't a millionaire yet by 30, then this is a great place to start focusing on your personal finances. At this time in your life, you should be focusing on reading 20 minutes a day. Every CEO, every millionaire reads at least somewhat between 20 or so odd books a year, and I'm trying to start that trend myself. That's what I want to shout out Audible, as an opportunity for you to get a couple of free ebooks, but also for me to tell you about a book that has helped me and my best friend a ton with our minds and how we grow our own finances and sense of success. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is a book that tells you exactly how to start building your wealth from the ground up with the right mindset, and how effective people are able to leverage their minds and their approaches to life in a very specific way. Today's logic question is going to be about alpha versus beta. In a statistical test, do you compare a p-value against alpha or beta? I know, binary, right? How hard can the question be? You have a 50% chance of getting it right. As always, if you answer the question down in the comments, I'm gonna take all the correct answers, jumble them up, and then pick a winner who is gonna get a free consultation from me, either financial or data science. Hey, you could be a winner today. Let's give a shout out to another creator on YouTube, Grow with Will. At this point, I don't know exactly how many subscribers he has, but he is leveling up your business skills, and I think you should check out his videos. If you want your brand featured in one of these future videos, then you should screenshot this video that you're watching right now. You should then share that on your Instagram story and then tag me, Andrew Mo Money, for a chance to be featured in the next coming video. As always, success takes one step at a time. I've been making a video a day for you guys. I'm gonna try my best to stick all month long, and who knows what the holidays will bring, who knows what my late 20s will bring. But for now, but not for forever, I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Is this fresh?
No.
No.
That was there
From yesterday. Is this fresh? This is also cold. Why do I only have cold?